Miniatures games has always had a special place in my heart because growing up, I watched my dad paint thousands of them. He was a huge Warhammer gamer and historical miniatures wargamer. My brother and I have both become avid painters from this influence. Check out the Golden Turtleback monthly painting contest on BGG to see some of my brother's work, who is way better than me. A nice painted miniatures game can make me feel more like I'm in a movie or video game than playing a video game can. And if you can put a good set of rules behind a beautiful set of minis, then I am having a blast. One particular type of miniatures game that I like is the one versus many. For those of you that don't know, one guy controls the demons or the monsters or Dracula, the bad guys, and the other players jointly control the heroes working together to fight them. Last year alone, a ton of these games came out. Doom, TMNT, Conan, the others, not to mention the perennials that are already dominating, like Imperial Assault and Descent 2nd Edition, Fury of Dracula, and Spectre Ops, and not alone. Some of these games can be quite expensive, and you're going to want to find the one that suits your group best. So I thought I would take a look at all of these games and give you my thoughts and help you choose. Or at least start a discussion and hear what you think about these. I'm going to talk about the things I like. I'm going to talk about the pros and cons, my thoughts on best player count, whether you have to invest in a long campaign or if it's a one-off shot, playing your hardest to win competitively as the Overlord, or are you more of a dungeon master escorting the players through a story? Each episode I'm going to focus on one game. The first game I'll be highlighting is the one I played the most and my second favorite game of all time, Conan. This game was a smash hit on Kickstarter, making over $3 million. It was well over a year late, but it made it to backers' hands, and it's great. If I could only keep one of these types of games, this would be the one I keep. But fortunately, I don't have to make that decision because I love these types of games. Let me give you a bit of an overview of the game. If you want more detailed of how it plays out, check out my review on the Dice Tower. The Overlord controls this book of Skelos. He has a certain amount of gems in his pool, and he gets a certain amount back every turn. This scenario will tell you how many he gets back and how many he starts with. And if you ever want to offer a newer player a handicap, it's easy just to offer them up more gems. Although my son never gives me anything extra. So the number above this tile is how much the tile costs to activate. Once you use it, you move it to the back of the river. You can activate that same tile again, but it's going to be much more expensive. I usually try and stick to the first two tiles when I am the Overlord, because I like to save my gems for re-rolling and dodging. The Overlord can spend gems re-rolling his dice, moving extra movement, and dodging out of the way of a hero's attack. The heroes don't function that much more differently, but they have more freedom in their actions. Like the Overlord, the heroes can spend gems moving extra spaces, re-rolling, and dodging, just like the Overlord, but they can also add gems to their attacks, ranged and melee. This manipulation symbol for opening chests, throwing and catching items, or anything in the rules, special rules section that requires manipulation checks, like a special door. Also, the heroes have some skills, which don't necessarily apply to every scenario. For example, swimming doesn't mean anything in the picked village. When a hero suffers wounds, he slides his gems into the wound zone, which means the more beat up a hero gets, the less action points they have. I love that the scenarios are on a board. Just pick a board and play it. No jigsaw modular tile setup, no finding the right tiles and orientating them the right way. One of the reasons why this game's so highly recommended is that during a player's turn, there is no set turn limit. The heroes can use gems in any order. Conan can come smashing through a wooden wall, then another hero can come in and attack a guard, then another hero can run in and pick the lock on a chest, and then Conan can spend more gems and do what he wants. it's so cinematic the way it plays out, and it keeps all the players engaged and invested at all times in what's going on. It creates a really great cooperative dynamic between the players. Secondly, this game does have a campaign, but it's Kickstarter exclusive. And other than a mini 2-mission campaign, which comes with the Kitai expansion, it is predominantly, very much predominantly, a one-off scenario game, and I just like to pull one out, pick a scenario, set it up, and have a tactical battle. There will be future campaigns released in the years to come, so if you do like campaigns, it will be offered, just like future expansion releases. I like the one-off because it's so hard to get a group together and play a consistent campaign all the time. And when I do get people together for that, Arcadia Quest is usually on the menu. Now, in the base box, there is 8 scenarios and probably another 10 out right now on the Monolith website. And new ones being released all the time. So there is a ton of content. There is also a site called the Overlord, where there is software for designing your own scenarios. It's got all the tokens and bad guys you need, all the maps, and even some fan-made maps. You can write it up in the same format as the Monolith scenarios. And they are play-tested by the community, they're rated, they're commented. The ones that end up rising to the top from being tweaked are phenomenal, and they rival the best that Monolith has put out. My son and I have some ideas brewing of our own. So I like the way the system gives you so much to create with. It's such an intuitive game system that anything is possible. For example, this scenario, the heroes are trying to defend the village while the Picts are at the gate trying to break it down. It's a base defense scenario. In this scenario, the heroes are trying to catch up to this pirate ship, the Tigress. The first half of the scenario, the heroes are trying to make these navigation checks, and if they can get it, once they get up to a certain number, they catch up to this other ship. And then the second half of the scenario is set up. There's pirates leaping from one ship to the other, heroes throwing pirates in, people falling in the water getting eaten by sharks. It's just a great thematic pirate battle. In this scenario, the heroes are climbing this tower. They need to cut off the head of this evil wizard and then jump off the roof, Assassin's Creed style, into a pond below. And the whole time this is going on, the building is burning, one floor at a time, incinerating everything in its path. So the heroes better move. I like that the scenarios are all pre-laid out. They tell you who goes where, how many gems everybody gets to start with, what weapons they start with, what's in the treasure chest. So it's all designed as a tight battle. Everything is tweaked and play-tested. There is really no limit to the stories and mechanics that can unfold with this system. Whether you're a necromancer raising the dead or a hitman hired by a king to take an evil villain's head. This is more than just a dice chucker, although chucking dice is a big part of the game. But there is very much a Euro mechanic under the surface with the gem management. You can spend all the gems you want re-rolling and dodging an attack if you really want to avoid a hit. You can, but you better think about what you want to do offensively next turn, or defensively on the Overlord's turn. Do you just take damage from a minion and lose some of your precious Life Force gems? When do you rest and gain back 5 gems? When do you go aggressive and only get back 2? You really have to plan ahead. Which of the minions does the Overlord spend his resources keeping alive? Which tiles does he activate? Does the Overlord save gems to keep his guys alive on the hero's turn? Or does he let Conan and company chop them to pieces like Ginsu knives on a pile of veggies so he can spring a formidable trap of his own? Most scenarios are on a timer, and typically the Overlord wins if the heroes don't accomplish their goal on time. This adds attention, keeps the game moving, And most of the time, the scenarios are running 60 to 90 minutes, the majority favoring the 60-minute mark if everyone knows the game well. Now, the game is not all roses and perfume. It has its problems that may have you searching for a different one versus many game. One of the smaller problems with this game, although there is a wealth of scenarios to play, so much content was on Kickstarter, so retail purchasers feel like they got less than a complete game. I would probably feel this way if I didn't jump on board bringing this game to reality. But it is easy to proxy and unit tile since they are shown on the scenarios. You just write down what the saber-tooth tiger stats are, and it's easy to proxy your own miniatures from other games or lines, so it's not the end of the world. The rulebook is also poorly done. There have been overwhelming complaints on BGG and other forums, and a new one is available on the website in PDF form. And although I consider myself a master of the rules currently, it took a ton of BGG forums to get there. The line of sight rules is so ambiguous, I can't tell you how many rules, discussions, and arguments I've gone through on BGG. They say in the rules, use your best judgment when determining line of sight, and I, along with many others, hate this rule. If this game is so tactical, then there should be firm line of sight rules. This is the problem they fixed in the upcoming Batman game using the same Conan engine by having letters in the center of all the areas and squares that have a matching letter have line of sight with each other. Another big issue with Conan is that it's not a very inclusive game. The developer stuck to the canon from the novels and the comics, and all the women in this game look like Princess Leia at Jabba's side. One notable critic was an ex-executive at Asmodee, Cynthia Hornbeck, that wrote a scathing letter on her Tumblr account the day after she left Asmodee. I don't know if this was why she left Asmodee, but I digress. It's an issue in this day and age, and I decided not to bust their balls too much about it. They did release an alternate rulebook cover with the updated rules that didn't have a naked lady on an altar, so that's something. With that being said, I played this game over 30 times now, and I still keep coming back for more. I love playing this game with my son, Hayden, who's 8 years old, and we've had some great battles. I'll read the special rules, and he'll decide which will be more fun, being the Overlord or the heroes. But he has a tendency to lean towards the dark side and play the Overlord most games, which is good because I feel like I'm always playing the Overlord in these types of games. This game is more Battle Lore and Memoir 44 than it is Descent and Imperial Assault, but with so much else going on. The tactical movement and strategic position in this game really make it a game to have you playing your best to win. I love that as a one versus many, you play your hardest as the Overlord and your hardest as your heroes. It's not as much fun to play a game master role and usher the players through a story. And a scenario may seem like a blowout in favor of either the heroes or the Overlord. But then you play it again once you're familiar with this scenario and things get much tighter. And I feel like each and every official scenario I've played has been play tested and tweaked to death. I love the game. I recommend it highly. And I love painting up the figures because there is just something added when your game looks like this instead of this. Well, that's Conan. And I'll be back next time with either Doom or the others. Let me know in the comments below what you would want to see first. And let me know what your thoughts are on Conan if you've played this. Do you consider it simply a dice chucker with no substance? Or do you see this as a chess-like strategy battle? Maybe this is the game for you. Maybe you want to see what your other options are. So I'll see you next time. Bye for now.